What is going on, Flyers fans, the few of you that remain? Welcome back to Clear the Ice, a Flyers postgame show here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, which your boy Matty B won this special matinee call. Hell yeah! Well, we're sinking to new levels game by game, winless now in our last six. Outscored in those six by a total of 36-12. The beat goes on today. The Flyers get absolutely steamrolled by the stinking New York Rangers, 6-3 down there at the arena in anticipation of taking this 6-game winless streak out to Vegas, Utah, and Colorado next week. God help us all, as this thing has gotten to epic proportions. And no, I'm not going to come on here and lay this all on the feet of the goaltending. The goaltending stinks. Yes. The Flyers aren't doing anything to help them. They're not. The defense is falling apart. Their offense is not existent. Matt V. Mitchkov just might as well sit in a press box and watch these games for all the effort he has provided. It's a complete and total collapse on all fronts. It's not just the goaltending. But when you have questionable goaltending to enter a game or enter a season or enter the last 4 decades like the Flyers have had, you got to ratchet it down in front of them. And the Flyers aren't doing that at all. Turnovers, penalties. The penalty kill is dreadful. Power play has disappeared, which it was never really there to begin with, but they were actually at one point this season 20% effective on the power play, which is like the league minimum that's my league minimum standard. But those days are long gone because they can't score and they are giving up way too many goals. As Alexei Kovalov, who got the start tonight, finished with a stellar, perfect .000 save percentage in this hockey game. You know why? Because he faced 3 shots and all 3 of them were goals. Amazing. Simply amazing. Now, again, as I said, it's not all about the goaltending. Yes, there's problems there. Massive problems. The Flyers aren't just doing anything in front either. Just opportunity after opportunity in this game. I think this game to me, or this Flyers team, can be summed up in one play. And that was towards the end of the game here today. Sean Couturier with an opportunity going one-on-one. He had a defender on him, but he had a good chance, a good scoring opportunity as he's breaking into the net. What happens? He gets completely punked by the defenseman and sort of ridden off the puck. And boom, no scoring opportunity, and that's that. That is the perfect metaphor to this Flyers team. And yeah, I think the honeymoon is over, folks. We were okay if we stayed away from these types of winless streaks, these 10-gamers, these 8-gamers, 7-gamers. You can't afford one of these if you're a team like the Flyers. And I'm not saying the season's lost. Oh, I think it's definitely trending that way because I don't see any relief coming between the pipes. Danny B is reluctant and stubborn to make any sort of move to reinforce that area. And we're going to continue to be dealing with Sam Ersson, who had no choice today but to come in when your starter gives up 3 goals on 3 shots. I mean, you got no choice. Tockett's hands were pretty much tied there. Ersson didn't fare much better. I mean, he played okay. Still got shot apart. Zibanejad with a hat trick. Panarin with 2 goals. I mean, it was a shooting gallery down there, and the Flyers were on the other side of that. 36-12, the Flyers have been outshot or outscored since January the 8th. Let that sink in. 36-12 as they lose today 6-3. Welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed the game if you watched it. Adam says falling apart fast. Injuries are piling up. It's the whole damn team. More injuries on the team. Yeah, it's the whole damn team, right? I mean, it is. Again, I'm not going to sit here and place that, but hey, it'd be nice not to give up 6 goals a game. I mean, what they at? That's probably what they're averaging. They've given up 6 goals in their last 2 games. What is it? Like, what are the tallies? Let's talk about the individual goal tallies here since January 8th. All right, 275, 566. That's what they've given up since January 8th. 275, 566. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. And they've scored 1-2-1, 2-3-3. Does not take a mathematician to figure out what's going on, all right? But you're right. It is the whole damn team. It's not, again, I'm not going to lay it all at the feet of Sam Ersson or Alexei Kovalov, or tomorrow maybe Carson Bjornsson. Next week, Igor Zaradin, Alex Lyon, if they ever make a move to help out the goaltending situation. You know, I fear whoever they put in there is destined to fail, honestly, to be blunt about the whole thing. Joe says he was at the game and he left early. Sorry that you wasted your time, Joe, on this blustery winter day with the winter mix in the air. I'm sorry about that, man. But Flyers do lose today 6-3. And I got some goals to break down because, yes, I'm on the post game. So that means, yes, there's a lot of goals to talk about because that's apparently what I do. I'm a goal breaking down fool, and we're going to start. But let's get going with the administrative stuff. To start this hockey game, the Flyers, healthy scratch, Nick Delorier. Risto was a healthy scratch, and, of course, Dan Vladar dealing with that injury. For the Rangers, Connor McKay and Matt Rempe got the scratch. In the net for the Flyers today to start the game, it was Alexei Kovalov, and he faced, I mean, I look at it every time and I laugh. He faced 3 shots, gave up 3 goals. It literally finished with a .000 save percentage. For the, also he gave way, let's give Ersson his due. He gave way to Ersson, 25 shots faced, 22 saves. With a .880 save percentage. Just not good enough. For the Rangers, Spencer Martin got to start, and he went the distance, giving up, facing 28 shots with a .893 save percentage. So, again, I mean, the Flyers got to him. But when you give up 6 goals, 3 ain't going to help you out much. There was one point in this game, folks, which was funny. I looked up at the shot totals and the goal score. It was 6-3. It was 6-2 at this point. I think it was in the second period, maybe early in the third. The Rangers had recorded 17 shots. Again, let's do the fuzzy math. 17 shots, and the Flyers had given up 6 goals. So the Rangers have scored 6 goals and 17 shots. That's like youth hockey numbers right there. That's like Pee Wee Squirt Bantam stuff, right? That's not NHL stuff. 17 shots and 6 goals. I couldn't. I had to like double, triple, quadruple take it. I'm like, really? Is that what I'm seeing? Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic on all fronts. Again, and I do want to be clear about this. I'm not laying it all on the feet of the goaltending. They're not helping, but they are not fully to blame. It's been a breakdown across the board for this hockey team. Matvei Michkov. You know, I wasn't really a big Michkov guy to begin with. I honestly wasn't. I thought he had some promise. He was tearing things up in the KHL, but there was red flags about him in his days in the KHL. For those of you that did not wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning to get on the deep, dark web to watch KHL hockey like I did, you wouldn't know these red flags. But there were red flags about Matvei Michkov. He's not much of a team guy. He threw a lot of temper tantrums when he was out there in Petersburg and in the KHL, when he was SKA and KHL. All right, threw a lot of temper tantrums, was suspended twice for conduct detrimental, refused to play at times. There were a lot of red flags about him to go along with that A1 talent. And then last year, he blossomed in a bad situation on a bad hockey team, and he took that momentum and he came into this season out of shape. Came into this season not have stepped on the ice in 4 months after the end of last season. And he's been behind the power curve ever since, and it's definitely shown. So there are some red flags about Matvei Michkov. And again, I think that we've reached a point, and I'm not saying, actually I am saying, if you can move on from him, move on from him. Who cares? I don't think he's ever going to blossom into what we want him to be. And we are notorious in this town for overhyping, underhyping, all that, right? We overhyped Michkov. Half of you did not know anything about Matvei Michkov, had not watched 1 second of his play ever, and we're crowning him the next Wayne Gretzky. because he's Russian, right? For whatever reason, because he was taken at the high pick in the draft. Okay. And it hasn't to this point worked out. And I don't think it's ever going to work out to the point where people want it to work out. I'm not saying he can't scratch out a career in the NHL. Absolutely can. I'm not saying he can't be a 20 to 25 goal scorer a season in the NHL. He absolutely can. But I don't think he's the savior. I know that he's not the savior to appear. We're still waiting for the Messiah to show up in South Philadelphia. All right? And Mitch Kopp's a false prophet. That's what he is. Yeah, he might be a messenger from God, but he ain't the Messiah. But, and you know, it's hard to get all religious there, but I had to. And I think it's time to wrap your heads around that. I think it's really time to wrap your heads around. And that's my Matt V. Mitchkoff soapbox moment for the game, brought to you by the great folks here at the It's a Wrap Sports Network and creators of such programming as this. The Philly AM Sports Show featuring Big Al and Mike Laro tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Get your weekend or get your week started off correctly. Start your Sunday correctly. Wind down your weekend correctly. However it is you want that to set in, do it with Mike and Al. 9 a.m. tomorrow here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. And for the rest of today, this is what you got to look forward to. We are playing, and we will do this every Saturday until the end of time, the best of the It's a Wrap Sports. So if you missed our programming during the week, we will recap it all for you on Saturday. We got a little break in the action here as I'm doing some live, but then we're going to get right back into the best of the It's a Wrap Sports for the rest of today. And then tomorrow morning, of course, you got the AM Philly Sports Show, and then me coming back at you with the final word tomorrow at 9 p.m. All right, let's get into this. I prolonged it enough. Let's talk scoring. The Flyers would actually take a lead in this game. They got off going strong at the 6:22 mark. Travis Konecny has somehow figured out how to score 15 goals. And he scored his 15th today from Zegras, his 25th, and Sanheim, his 15th, to give the Flyers a much needed early lead at 1-0. It would be fleeting, yes, but it was a lead and it was early, and I will take it. Let's pull up the game. Let's pull up that goal. Let's get that going for you. Here we go. Again, I'm doing post game, so that means we have about 1,000 goals to break down. I don't know why it is like this. Every single one I do. All right. We're going to pick this thing up in the neutral zone. And why it's important to pick this goal up at the neutral zone is because I've never seen a hockey team as bad as the Flyers are in transitioning from defense to offense. I've never seen it. That's hit a bad spot. It's gotten kind of steadily worse since 2 seasons ago when they were one of the better teams at transitioning because they didn't mess around with the puck in the neutral zone. Remember, that was the year where they were doing a lot of those outlet passes, those 50-50 balls type stuff down the middle. You know, it was Morgan Frost's kind of trademark play as he tried to spring people for a 2-on-1 or a breakout. But since that year, which was 2 seasons ago now, the Flyers have reverted back to this traditional, conventional skate the puck through the neutral zone, and they are one of the worst teams at that. But on this play, it works out pretty well for them as the Flyers will break into the zone, and they got themselves one of them good old-fashioned 2-on-1s as Zegras will find the very wide open Travis Konecny, and this should be automatic for a goaltender like a goal scorer like Konecny. He goes on the far side there against the young goaltender and beats him cleanly to give the Flyers that 1-0 lead. Good to see the two of them connecting there, Zegras and TK. Good to see TK scoring goals. And, you know, interesting to see Christian Dvorak up on that line. What's he doing there? But the Flyers get the early 1-0 lead. But that would be it. That's your highlight of the day. That's really it. Because after that, it's all Rangers. It's all Rangers all the time. 7:05, Panarin would get his first of 2 to tie it up at 1, his 17th from Trockett and Lafreniere to make it 1-1. Let's bring that goal up. Again, this is all Rangers all the time from this point forward. And we're going to talk about a lot of the stuff. Now, some of these goals doesn't really tell the full story. There are some breakdowns in some of these goals that lead to these opportunities. I'm focusing on a lot of the end state of the opportunities. And some of these goals have what led to the opportunity. So we'll just kind of play this by ear. But let's pick this thing up right now. As Where are we at here? Where are they at? Oh, okay, here we go. All right, so really a simple basic entry. I doesn't really get better than this. I mean, the Flyers got this covered pretty well. Everyone's got a body on them, right? I mean, doesn't seem to be any sort of open seam except for the one right down the middle. So you got to look at this and feel pretty good if you're the Flyers on defense. And let's run the play, but then we forget about the one factor, which is, of course, the over pursuit factor. As the Flyers will over pursue, we're going to lose people in translation. We're going to leave somebody up right in the slot, and then you can pretty much count that as a very slow-moving, and this is really what's concerning about Kovaslav. It's the slow-moving. This guy used to be lightning quick. I mean, like last year on his horizontal game, or his vertical game. Lateral game. That cross the crease move, that was lightning quick. That was what really set him aside or set him apart from a lot of young goalies that I've seen. And that has disappeared since he's been here in North America, and that was a pure example of it. But again, as we're going to let this play kind of develop again, the Flyers have this pretty well defended, but things get lost in translation. And there's over pursuit. There's a lack of awareness in the defensive zone, and they fall asleep at the switch, and they leads to an opportunity right here where you got someone just standing alone, and you got Couturier sort of just cruising back like, he's on a vacation or something, and Kovaslav just really slow going laterally gets beat like a drum. Just, again, a lazy, mechanically lazy goal. And that's, listen, it's a high-scoring opportunity, 100%. They had to break down in the defense. They caused an odd man situation or an odd situation. But Kovaslav's got to get back quicker than that. He's got to go lateral quicker than that, and he used to be able to do that. I mean, like last season, as he's just way too slow on it, like he's completely overcommitted. And there you go, man. Just bad. Just bad. A bad goal. And the Rangers got themselves, they've tied this game up at 1-1. Oh, man. Do I know who the goalies are out there? There's a ton of goalies. Alex Lyon is a name that's been floating around, former Flyer goalie. Buffalo's got a surplus of goalies. Got about 5 of them that are NHL capable that they could part ways with. But, they're not going to let them go cheap. Danny B's got to make a move. And within the system, the Flyers, the next one up is Bjornsson, right? I mean, he's the next one internally. Now, I don't know if he's ready, but you'd have to think that at some point, they're going to have to give him a shot. But as far as going outside the organization, yeah, there's always goalies there. Again, Alex Lyon is the name that's more fluently being floated around. He's a goalie with NHL experience who's kind of lost in a goalie shuffle with a very deep goalie situation in Buffalo. So Alex Lyon would probably come at you about a third-round pick, third-round pick. So, yeah, I mean, there are some goalies out there. The AHL, a lot of different players. I'm not talking about when he was in the AHL. I meant when he was in the NHL last year. Kovaslav moved very quick laterally. He's just slow now. He's lost like 2 steps. You don't got to tell me the AHL is a slower game. I know that. What's your opinion on Danny B? Honeymoon's ending. Honeymoon is ending. We got 6. We could be at 6 seasons without a playoff berth. That's never been done in Flyers franchise history. They've never not made the playoffs for 6 straight years. And that would happen this year if they do not qualify. That's why I thought it was crucial that they made the playoffs this year, just to not have that dubious honor hanging over them. So I think that the honeymoon is ending. I honestly do. And at what point do we start looking at this thing a little bit more holistically, thinking, okay, the core we have here is just not good. And what are you going to do to make it better? Danny B has yet to go all in. And I know he's waiting for the right time. And I know he's waiting to develop players around the situation. The rebuild takes time. It does. It's a painful process because it's not a retool. A lot of fans don't understand the word rebuild and what that really means. They think 1 year, 2 years, maybe. No, a rebuild is a complete teardown of your organization and a complete rebuild of it. That does not happen in 1 or 2 years. Happens closer to 3 to 5 years. That's why so many organizations are hesitant to go through it because it's a painfully long process. And I think going into this, we all wanted it. I wanted it. I wanted someone in the Flyer organization to say it needed to be rebuilt, not retooled. Got to stop slapping Band-Aids on it. We got to rip it apart. And they did. And now the fans, me too, are getting frustrated that it's taking so long. We are nowhere near the end of this. We're like back end of phase 1 of a rebuild. That's where we're at. Of a 4-phase rebuild, we're a back end of phase 1. And that's just a reality. It does not happen overnight. And I know it's frustrating. And I know it's unsatisfactory to a lot of fans, especially the hockey faithful here in this town. I get it. But when your team commits to a rebuild, you really need to understand what that means. And I think that's what we kind of got lost on. And we get lost on that all the time when we hear rebuild. When the Phillies decided to rebuild back in 2012, what was it? A 6-7 year process before relevancy again? You know what I mean? So when the Sixers decided to start the rebuild, it was about 6 years, right? So again, it's not a 1 or 2 or 3 year process. It's just not. That's why franchises don't want to do it, because they don't want to commit to that. But as far as my opinion of Danny B and Keith Jones, I don't know. The verdict is still out. We're still stuck in phase 1. Doesn't seem to be any sort of inclination to go any higher and be like, okay, well, now we got to start pushing chips in. We got to start making drastic trades, drastic changes. Take some of this young talent that we might supposedly have, move it on for some proven talent, sort of try to mesh that in. They seem to be hesitant to start that process for whatever reason. But again, we could have Gretzky, Lemieux, Ovechkin, Crosby, McDavid, Draisaitl, Malkin. You can have all them skating around out there right now. If you're giving up 6 goals a game, I don't know, man. It ain't going to be good. So the first and foremost thing is to figure out this goaltending problem, and that's not Danny B and Keith Jones. That's not they didn't begin that. They didn't start that issue. That's just something they've inherited, from the last 17 general managers. The whole goaltending problem. But again, I know we're all looking for the quick answer that next week it's going to change or next season it's going to change. No, about 4 years from now, maybe we're talking Stanley Cup contender. Honestly, that's the timeline. And I know, and it sucks. It does. All right, so the Rangers are going to get the 2-1 lead as Zibanejad will get his first of his hat trick at the 7:28 mark or 7:26 mark. And yes, that is about 19 seconds after the Panarin goal to give the Rangers a 2-1 lead. Zibanejad's 19th from Miller and Schneider. And let's bring that one up. It's Rangers number 2, right? Oh, it sucks, man. The rebuild sucks. But I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite about it. During the last days of Chuck Fletcher, man, I wanted some honesty from the organization that this thing was bad and it needed to be rebuilt, not retooled. So I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite and say that, well, I don't. This is not what I signed up for. It is. I signed up for this. This is what I signed up for, and we all did, like it or not. We all did. All right, so pick up play inside the Flyer zone. Now here come the sloppy goals as the Flyers are going to get sort of, again, a little bit of an over pursuit here. Just classic cycling back. Zibanejad way from the point and just the terrible goal. This is the second of the shots that Kovalsov faced, which means it's the second goal that he's given up. That's just garbage. That's just straight trash. There's nothing really going on in front of him. He just gets beat on a shot from almost the blue line. I have nothing more to say about that. There's nothing more technical I can add, or I don't want to. There's nothing more I can sound more intelligent about that goal. There is a little traffic in front, but when you're out almost up to when you're above the dot, when you're above the circle where Zibanejad is here, that's a very low scoring opportunity, low scoring percentage opportunity at this friggin' level of hockey. You should be able to make this save. I really don't. There's nothing more to say. As we watch this play again, sort of envelop here. Ain't nothing. I mean, he's literally right by the blue line. And he's just going to look, there's nothing in front. That's just terrible. Absolutely terrible. Terrible goal. And now we got a 2-1 Ranger lead. And the onslaught is on Othman. Brendan Othman will get his first ever NHL goal next at the 8:25 mark from Kulte, his 14th assist to give the Rangers a 3-1 lead. This is all in the first period. And this, of course, would be the goal that chases Kovaslov out of there after 3 shots and 3 goals. So, again, doesn't take a math genius to figure out why they're moving on from him. Let's pull this up. So we're going to pick up play coming outside the Rangers zone as the Flyers get kind of caught in another one of them situations where you got a 3-on-1. They're pressuring the play, trying to create something on offense, and this is what happens when you do that. You leave your defense and your terrible goaltending on an island, and then this is just again bad lateral play, too slow going back across the middle, and then just opens up too much, goes down too soon. What do you want from me? That's why he got yanked after 3 shots. So we got a 3-1 Ranger lead at this time, and that would take us to the end of the first period. The Flyers were out. The Flyers actually outshot the Rangers in that period, 8-6. Kovaslov would give way to Urson, and we would be on to the second period. So yeah. So let's head to the second period. Zibanejad, his second goal of the game on the power play, his 20th of the season, gives the Rangers a 4-1 lead at the 5:38 mark. Let's bring that one up. It's pointless anymore, really, to do this, but we're going to continue rolling through these goals. So, yeah. All right, let's bring this up. All right, inside the Flyer zone on the power play. Rangers are going to set up. They're going to just get right back, and we're going to fake a shot. We're just going to sit down. We're going to go down. We're going to again. This is bad defense as the Flyers let this thing go right by them, and then again this time it's Urson. As I said, over pursuit, not aware, 4-1. And there you have it. So 4-1 at this point of the game. And that's pretty much, listen, it plays out the rest of the way. Zibanejad will then strike about 3 minutes later to make it 5-1 on his 21st of the season from Miller and Morrow. And that would be the hat trick for him. Let's roll through this. And then at the 14:31 mark, Panarin, his 18th, making it 6-1. Then Sanheim does get the Flyers with the shorty, the Flyers' third shorthanded goal of the year, to get this thing to 6-2 at 16:48 mark, his 6th from Konechny, his 26th, and that would be the end of the second period. Flyers were outshot 13-7 in that period, and in the third period, the only goal was Trevor Zegras at the end there at the 8:01 mark, making it 6-3, his 19th from Denver Barkey, who's quietly started to really pick up some points here, and Owen Tippett, and that's 6-3. I'm not going to put myself through this again. The Flyers 28 shots, Rangers 28 shots. Again, at one point it was 17 shots for the Rangers and 6 goals. Flyers were 0-for-1 on the power play. Rangers were 1-for-3 as the shorthanded situation continues to be bad for the Flyers, but they did get a shorty though. That's good. Flyers took the puck away 3 times, gave it away 14 and blocked 13 shots. And that is how you get 6-3. Flyers now winless in their last 6 games. Will now head to the desert/mountain range, and they will face off against the Vegas Knights, Utah Mammoth, and the Colorado Avalanche next week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Here is your Clear the Ice schedule. I have you on Monday. I have you on Wednesday, and Mike will have you on Friday against Colorado. And that's that. So he's 6-3. We got some problems, folks. We got some problems in net. We got some problems with offense. We got some problems with defense. We got some problems with the rebuild. And that's what this is. So Flyers lose today 6-3. Enjoy the rest of your day. And don't forget, the best of the It's a Wrap Sports rolls on after this show, as we will get back to showing all the stuff that we had shown during the week, if in case you missed it the first time. So, and make sure tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, you're back for our return to live programming with the AM Philly Sports Show. Until then, until I see you tomorrow night, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Go Flyers. And in the immortal words of the late, great Gene Hart, good night and good hockey, folks.